We're talking Texas A&M Aggies today on Sharpen the Point. 2024 was an 8-5 season and an up and down year. They started hot at 7-1, but and it looked real positive, and then they struggled down the stretch, just leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth to end it. Mike Elko, he enters his second season, keeping both coordinators intact. Quarterback-wise, Connor Wegman began the season as a starter, but he was extremely ineffective, banged up, and ultimately not the answer for a team with lofty aspirations, having more turnovers than touchdowns while suffering with accuracy issues during his time as the starter. He now heads to Houston after being relegated behind, true freshman Marcel Reed and being his backup to finish the season. Reed, he had plenty of passing deficiencies in his own right, but he was a capable playmaker through the air while adding a more dynamic ability on the ground. With north of 1,800 yards passing, over 500 rushing, and 22 total touchdowns, Reed showcased his dual threat ability that makes him difficult to defend. Reed did do a nice job of limiting the turnovers, which was a big difference from Wegman. He still has a long way to go in his development as a passer, but the arm talent is there to be a difference maker if he can progress in year 2 of this RPO-heavy system with more deep ball touch and accuracy. There is a battle for the backup spot between Jacob Zeno, who they got from UAB, and Miles O'Neal. Zeno has to be in the pole position with his previous starting experience and stability he can provide. O'Neal, he has a ton of upside, though, as a big, strong, young kid who's garnered praise from everyone in the building. Running back wise, basically the entire room returns after they were battered and bruised a year ago. Luckily for them, they have a stable of backs to choose from that are all talented in their own ways. Le'Veon Moss, he was the clear top guy last season. He racked up nearly 800 yards and 10 touchdowns in only 8 full games. Amari Daniels came in. He was serviceable as the second option, taking on a big workload when Moss was lost for the season. And then Reuben Owens, he missed much of the season recovering from a Lisfranc injury, but he returned in the last game of the regular season and the bowl game to get his sea legs back under him and be ready to go for the spring. Moss, he should return to that lead role after his success last season. He's publicly stated that he will be 100% once the season begins. I expect him to be the bell cow here. But Owens is going to be my pick to be the second back to see the field. I think he mixes in a good bit with Moss to try to keep each other healthy. The former 5-star recruit and freshman All-American, he's facing a make-or-break-it season, really. He needs to prove he can be the future feature back here for these guys. Daniels, he missed some time in the spring with injuries that mounted late in the season. He should be a full go in the fall. He's going to slot back into this rotation. I think he takes a back seat to those two studs, plays a little bit more on third downs, though. Pass catching-wise, typically, if your top 4 wide receivers leave, it would be an issue. But outside of Noah Thomas, who led the team in all categories last season, I would not be worried at all, as it has been a real struggle to get production out of the room compared to where they were in past seasons. We see you, Moose Muhammad and Evan Stewart. They were hopefuls, but never quite lived up to it. They did bring in 2 transfers to fill the slot and an outside starting spot right away in Casey Concepcion from NC State and Mario Craver from Mississippi State. Concepcion was a monster in his freshman season, dominating the room in all categories en route to over 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. He did follow that up, though, with an abysmal encore performance with under 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Concepcion's now going to look to bounce back in a new situation, and it's entirely possible given the rapport he has developed with Reed already in the spring. He's a good short area option. He can operate in those areas very well. Craver, he's going to operate as that X receiver on the outside, and with his speed, quickness, and soft hands, it makes him a top option to be able to take the top off the defense and run the routes at all levels. Top returning option at receiver is going to be former 5-star Terry Bussey. He's going to get to focus solely on wide receiver this year. After floating around in numerous spots a year ago, he was kind of a gadget running back at times throughout the year. He did not participate in the spring game, but he is slated to start at the Z, due in part to his size and route running ability on the outside. And then with the top 2 tight ends departing, the Aggies really went shopping in the portal for instant impact options. Amari Knobloch, he comes from Texas. He was previously at Alabama. He's going to get the first crack at being the top receiving threat in the middle of the field. He's the most physically gifted pass catcher in the room. with a chance to be a reliable target, and he can stretch the seams real well too with his physicality and speed. Offensive line-wise, nearly all of the starts along the line returned for another season, but that caused a good bit of the depth to transfer out for starting opportunities elsewhere. Still, this unit has plenty of talent at the top line and waiting in the wings to be one of the tops in the nation. Having been the starter at left tackle the past 2 seasons, Trey Zune, he's going to man the left side again after turning down the NFL to stay in College Station. Zune's entering his 2nd season as a captain and leader of this unit. Left guard Chase Basantis, he excelled there last season. He's also well on his way to being a top draft pick next spring. And then the center spot features the most competition along the line as Mark Nebu and Koli Fau. They were both in the running. Nebu, he should have the leg up after starting 12 games in 2023. He started the opener against Notre Dame before a season-ending knee injury knocked him out. And Fau, he stepped in and performed admirably, starting the final 11 games. Armaj Reed Adams, he's a lock for right guard. He's a leadership guy. He could have easily left for the NFL. He just decided to stay for another season. Paycheck was good. He's again going to be a dominant force on the interior, specifically in that run game, getting that good push up front. And then Demetrius Crownover, he projects as the starter at right tackle, but he does not have a stranglehold on this position. He did start nearly every game last year and possesses the right combination of size, strong hands, and quick feet to be an asset in keeping Reed upright in the pocket. But Ruben Feathery, he's certainly in the mix, though. If he's finally healthy enough, he could definitely put up a fight in fall camp to take that spot. Defensive line-wise, there's losses on the front line of the defense as 3 of the top guys move on, with Nick Scorton and Shamar Stewart being the biggest names. Although Stewart was better he looked better getting off the bus than he did actually getting to the quarterback. I'll address the rumors now. So there's rumors that Stewart has been more involved in team activities than a typical draft pick would be amid the contract issues he's having with the Bengals. There's some language problems they have in it right now. Is it possible that he could come back? It is maybe. It would take a legal battle, and nobody's ever tried it or done it before, but there was no money in it before, so it makes sense that it's possible now. I could see it happening. It's probably like a 5 or 10% chance or maybe a 1% chance it actually does, 5 or 10% that he actually could even win the thing, but let's see. It's just a leverage play. Don't get your hopes up. There's no shot you turn him down if he does get cleared to return and do it, but it's a leverage play in his contract negotiations. He still would belong to the Bengals. His draft rights are theirs. He'd have to get traded to another team in order for him to go somewhere else. Moving off from that, Cassius Howell, he's the top returning lineman. He's going to start at one edge spot after a very solid season in the rotation that saw him basically match Scorton's stat line. Howell had the best pass rushing grade of the group, and he accrued those stats on so many fewer snaps, so he has a huge upside going into this year. His main issues have been that he can be exploited in the run game, and he gets 2-minute penalties. We're going to need to work on those things. If he can clean those up, though, he could be more productive than either of those predecessors. He's going to be joined by 2 transfers in the rotation with TJ Searcy from Florida and Dayon Hayes from Colorado. Each of them has a similar build, with Searcy coming off a good year for the Gators. The middle is going to be covered by Albert Regis. He returns, and Tyler Onyedem from Iowa State. Each brings experience with them and should be contributors right away. Another key piece is going to be DJ Hicks. He's a former 5-star recruit. He's going to see increased opportunities in this rotation. Most of the talk for me about the line has been about what has now left the unit, but really the drop-off's not going to be as big in production as it was in name value. Linebacker-wise, there's continuity at the top of the depth chart with the top 3, Torian York, Scooby Williams, and Damian Sanford all returning. York became a leader of the group last season, doing everything well on the field from tackling, pass rush, and coverage. His improvement over the course of last season in coverage is what really stands out with him. And with another top-tier season like he had last year, he's going to depart for the NFL well prepared. Williams, he was the most improved player in the room last year. He earned high grades against the run specifically. He's capable of playing either linebacker spot, but operates best as a will where his size is crucial to matching up with those tight ends in coverage. And then Sanford, he's going to be the top rotational piece in the room and a weapon that can be deployed as a pass rusher with his elite closing speed. He's a good spy on quarterbacks, specifically the athletic ones that you're going to face in this conference. Defensive back-wise, they lose a little depth in the secondary, but they do return plenty to keep this together. Cornerback's a clear strength with Will Lee, Des Ricks, and Julian Humphrey. He comes from Georgia as the top guys. Lee was the key player in the secondary a year ago, earning second-team All-SEC honors, and it was a delightful day when he announced he would return as he has developed into a true lockdown corner for the Aggies. He's going to look to build his draft stock this season by making more plays on the football itself. And then Ricks, he had trouble in coverage late in the season last year, allowing a number of big plays that really hurt the team on that losing streak. But with a full season of work under his belt, he's expected to be much improved this year. And then Humphrey, he's Mike Elko's new shiny toy on the outside. His speed helps him stay glued to wide receivers' hips, and it makes plays on the ball. Humphrey is someone who can emerge as a premier defender on the outside here. At safety, Dalton Brooks and Bryce Anderson, they're going to be the pairing. Anderson mentioned in the spring that for much of last season he dealt with a shoulder injury that limited his effectiveness. He's healthy now and looks forward to a bounce-back season. And then Anderson's at his best when he's helping to fill space in the run game. He's a real willing tackler, and that shoulder injury really detracted from that. Looking at the schedule and outlook this year, with an experienced line and a stable of top-tier backs paired with a mobile quarterback, the offense has a high floor it can really rely on week to week. They need that since there's no guarantees of what you're going to get from this passing game on any given week. On paper, it should be improved, but we saw what happened to Concepcion last season, so I need to see him bounce back to believe it. I do have a ton of confidence in this defense remaining a very good unit. The combination of Howe, York, and Lee provides playmakers at all three levels, and a strong defense and a good run game is always going to provide a recipe for being in games every week. Schedule-wise, UTSA, that's a win. Utah State, that's a win. And those are two really good early tests for this defense and the secondary because those are two decent offenses, specifically with Bronco Mendenhall being at Utah State now. But also situations where they match up well with the opponent, they can bully them in the run game and just dominate the offensive line of scrimmage, which will allow them for easy wins there. At Notre Dame, that's a loss. I think Notre Dame's one of the best teams in the country. Other than not returning Riley Leonard, they return a ton. Auburn, that's a coin flip game for me. Arnold and Reed, that's an interesting match. Weapons on the outside go to Auburn, but the run game is fully on Texas A&M's side. If you can run the ball down their throat, you got that game. Mississippi State win. Florida, another coin flip game. It's at home. That helps. Lagway, a little bit better than Reed, but there's two stout run games in this game. I lean Florida, but that's one heck of a matchup. At Arkansas, win. At LSU, I'm going to lean loss, but if LSU struggles versus the run and they can't stop the run game of Texas A&M, it's going to get interesting. You know, LSU dominated the first half last year against A&M and then really could not stop the run in that second half. That could go that way again. If it does, LSU's in for a long game. If they can find a way to stop this Aggie run game, specifically Reed's legs, because he dominated them in that game, then LSU takes that win. At Missouri, win. South Carolina, I think it's a coin flip. Lenoris Sellers can take over a game. They're going to have to find a way to defend him. That's one of those situations where spying the quarterback with that speed is going to come in handy. Samford, win. And then at Texas, on paper, it's a loss. Last year's game was admittedly closer than it should have been with the talent gap that was on the field. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. Who knows? You know, you never know in a rivalry game. But on paper, Texas wins that game. I'm admittedly not the biggest Marcel Reed fan as far as the passing goes, but the line and run games can take them a long way when paired with this defense. Does it take a step back this year? It's possible. but I do think that it could be as good, if not more productive, with what is in place now. 6 wins, easy lock on the schedule there, not saying anything out of the realm there. They get almost all of their coin flip games at home, which really helps raise the ceiling of this team. 9 wins would be a massive success for a team that has been consistently 8 wins or fewer for the better part of the last 25 years.